Hey loves, welcome to The Quick Tip,
I'm your host, Dejada.
and I'm Kamisha, and we are a part of the team at Sista Afya Community Mental Wellness in Chicago. The Quick Tip is a podcast where we discuss relatable topics in Black women's mental wellness.
We provide thoughtful reflections, quick tips, and leave you with some things to take action on to improve your mental wellness.
Sit back, relax, and enjoy the podcast.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Quick Tip Podcast. This is your host Kamisha.
And I'm Dejada.
And today we are going to be talking about social media's impact on our self-worth. This is our first episode for season 4. And this is going to be a part of our self-care and self-worth series. So social media has become a normal part of communication in our everyday lives, but it prevents opportunities for connections, to build community, and to learn based on our interests. But social media can also impact the way that we see ourselves, and sometimes we can compare ourselves to others, which impacts our self-worth. So in this episode, we'll discuss our relationship to social media and how self-image is affected by how we interact on social media. So just to kick things off, I want to talk about some of our earliest memories of engaging on social media. So Dejada, when was the first time that you got on a social media platform, or when did you hear about social media?
The first time I heard of social media was MySpace. Before MySpace, it was like little game chat room things like, I forget the names of them, but I'm sure people know what I'm talking about. Like Millsberry, I think was one of them. Just like little video games with group chats and you can just talk to random people, which was honestly probably not the safest thing. And then it was MySpace. All of my friends, when I was in like the 5th and 6th grade, was on MySpace. And then eventually the 7th graders would convince us to get on Facebook. So now we're on Facebook. And it was really fun because it was just, I was becoming friends on social media with the people I was in school with. And we just built stronger friendships from there. Just being kids, I mean, like, cause I couldn't even imagine, like when I was on social media at those times, I was like editing people's photos for them. I was really connected I really had a thing for technologies and computers at that time. In general, like I was on LimeWire downloading music on CDs and stuff. So I was just always interested in technology in general. So I think that's why I already knew how to edit pictures. And they weren't good edits either. I still have some on my Facebook. How about you, Kamisha?
So my earliest engagement on social media was also MySpace as well. I don't know how I heard about it. I think some of my friends in middle school, they were like, hey, we're creating like these MySpace pages. And after school, like we would just go over each other's houses and, learn how to like create your page. And then I remember the HTML coding. You would just go and look up images, and we weren't too consumed about like how many friends we had, but we had like our top 10 in the little corner and stuff like that. So it was fun. And then even when Facebook came out, I believe I was in high school. So, we would just share pictures of things that we were doing, our friends. It was just more community, focused. You didn't have like friends who were from different places in the country. It was really like your core group of people. And then also with Facebook, it allowed my parents and stuff, they weren't worried about it. They weren't worried about MySpace either. They didn't see it as like something to be very concerned about. They just kind of looked at it as like an outlet for teens. And then on when I was in high school, I did have an Instagram briefly, but then I was like, I'm kind of a private crowd. I was like, I don't need everybody just be seeing these little random pictures and stuff that I be taking, using filters and stuff. So for me, social media started off with being about social connection and engagement with like your core people. But then as I started to move into college or business, it kind of moved into something else. So yeah.
Do you feel like tools on social media like likes and algorithms impact how you engage then? And do they impact how you engage on social media now?
I think when I was younger, if I can like really recall, the likes didn't really matter.
Mhm.
With it didn't really matter as much, but then as like I started to like have a business and using social media for business purposes, the likes started to matter like a little bit more in terms of engagement and how posts were being shared or who was engaging with the posts. So that started to like matter a little bit more. Now I primarily use social media for business purposes, so some of those metrics and stuff does matter. Now the algorithms, I don't stay on social media long, so probably no more than like 10 or 15 minutes a day. I just get in, get out. And then like, our social media manager, Gabby, she is on there all the time. So now like I'll post something and then the next day I might come back to see, the engagement with the post and then that's it. But in terms of the algorithms, I'm not sitting on social media for so long for me to see similar posts, same type of posts all the time. For you, do likes really matter to you, or like how does the algorithm like really impact what you see online?
So right now I use mostly Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok, mostly for consumption. I'm not a real big poster. I used to be. I used to want to be a personality so bad. And so I don't think that the amount of, I'll say now, like if I make a post, I maybe post about once a month just to not be so, because I like to engage with people and I enjoy engaging with other people's posts. Like if they're graduating or if they just had a baby, I like I like being updated on people's lives who I don't have a chance to connect with on a daily or weekly or monthly basis, but like they're my, when I used to play basketball, I used to have really close friendships with this person, or in high school we had close relationships, but as we got older we just kind of went separate ways. But like we didn't like break off on a bad note. So I do enjoy receiving those updates. And so I'm like, okay, well, I can do the same. Or
Mm-hmm.
like now that I have a child, I don't necessarily have the time to go out and hang out and, have the fun that I used to have when I didn't have a child. But I still want people to know Lil Matt or see how big he's getting and, see that he can talk. So I simply like it for the updates. And I will say that for me, I don't ever think like, oh, I only got, 57 likes. But I think also I just want my people in the core group to engage. And if I be like, oh, my dad didn't comment on this post, I may feel some type of way. Like one of Matt's aunties, she's always under my post, like, oh, look at my little fan. And I enjoy getting like the little cute messages from my families and comments and stuff. And so it matters to me if like my core group don't see it, or like, because I like there's a reason people are on social media. And that I just stated my reason to still stay connected to people who I'm not able to engage with on a daily basis. But when it comes to algorithm as a consumer of social media, I don't like the algorithms at all. Like if I search up how to do nails, now all on my timeline is nail stuff. And it's like, okay, but like now I want to laugh and there's nothing to laugh at. I'm getting this one specific type of content. And I would say I spend a decent amount of time on social media. Like I typically am on social media when I need to fill my time, like on the bus, or like if I'm using a restroom. You know, the typical times people may use social media, but I don't think it really impacts like how I feel about myself if I don't get enough likes. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
doesn't, yeah, like my self-esteem or anything.
Yeah. It doesn't really affect my self-esteem as much. I think because I joined maybe social media when I was younger, when social media was different. I
Mhm.
think that if like I was, you know, a teenager today, I think that it would impact my self-worth because of what's on it and how much it kind of can take up space in, you know, your everyday life.
Yeah.
I do think that it can feel good when it's like, oh, people really resonate with this, or people see that this is making an impact, or even like when I announce updates on social media about things that are going on in my personal life, which isn't very often, you know, some kind of like the nice or loving comments. Some of those things do make you feel good and feel like people care about you,
Mhm.
at least from my perspective. But I definitely recognize that for, you know, the current generation, Gen Z and millennials, there is, you know, a huge importance of your image on social media. And, you know, whether it's for personal purposes or other purposes, like that can be a very important part of your self-esteem and your self-worth and who you are.
Yeah, like when I use social media, I am conscious of the fact I know this isn't reality. Cause like as you said, like I see now a lot of 13, 14-year olds wearing weave and makeup. And I think it's one because that's what's portrayed on social media and they're trying to, you know, fit in or keep up. But I know when I was 13 and 14, my mom would be putting rods in my hair and pinning it up into a mohawk, you know? And that, like, I think we have to, one, teach our children that, like, you shouldn't alter yourself or try to fit in, like, just be yourself. I just also think it just like age appropriateness. And at that time, we should be teaching kids to be comfortable in who they are. But I think it's hard to teach them that when like we see other people not being comfortable in who they are. But then again, there are people on social media preaching about that or being on there more natural. Um, and I think it's just impacting how we see ourselves, how we think we should look, basically impacting how we value ourselves. I feel like I had a specific thought to get into, but I went back to me being younger on social media.
I
Um,
think you were about to go into was like FOMO and
Facts. I,
yeah, like FOMO, which is fear of missing out for people who don't know what that is. But because of sometimes what's posted on social media, FOMO can happen where people may feel like they're behind or their lives aren't where it should be or in the right place, or they are not living a purposeful or a life that they can be proud of because of sometimes what they see on social media. Particularly, I see this a lot with Black women in regards to relationships and career and beauty as well. But I think those three things can really make people question like their value and their self-worth because of if you see all your friends graduated from college, or if you see all of them starting families, or, you know, if your body isn't shaped a certain way. So even thinking about desirability, all of those things can make you feel like, man, maybe there's something missing with me or something that's wrong with me. And that is what I'm seeing and our team is seeing a lot with the women who are coming to us for mental health services is feeling behind and feeling like what they're doing and who they are is not enough, and they're not where they believe they're supposed to be in life.
Yeah, I think it's hard for me to relate to it too. I think because I just come from a place of authenticity and I just always feel like you should be yourself, mainly because like you you will always be accepted by someone and oftentimes you will be rejected. Like I think that's just the reality of things. And so if you are feeling FOMO, and that this is also stuff I see especially like on TikTok, like if you are fearing that you're missing out on something, you are not. Like I often see people who I went to high school with, I mean, partying every weekend. You know, they go to the clubs, the bottle girls, and it looked fun with the sparks coming out, and but like at the same time, it gets tiring. And it's like, okay, how are they pouring into themselves? And for me, I feel like I can't relate to FOMO because even as a mom, I know that like I'm on my own journey. I know I'm on my own timeline. And even though like I'm not able to travel every month like another single black woman with no kids. Oh, okay. Maybe I do have FOMO. Just a little bit, but in a different way. I know that like, you know, I have to be real with myself. Like, well, that's not my lifestyle, and just trying to find ways to incorporate things that I like. So like I like yoga, and so I'll be sure maybe I'll do yoga at home with my baby, and that helps me build a connection with my child. But I just try to find the things that I like and put it in where I can so that I still feel like I'm getting the best out of what I'm doing in my life. Do you feel like you've ever experienced FOMO?
Um, hmm. I like through social media. Hmm. A little bit with like the travel stuff, a little bit. I'm not gonna lie. When I was in college, I think I was like, travel is like a really, 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 really big thing now for women. And just like being able to travel, go, you know, wherever you want to go, etc. So when I was in college, I was like feeling a little left out because my friends were all going to different countries and doing this and doing that. And so I was like, dang, like, where, you know, how am I doing enough? Because I'm not gallivanting all over the world. But then when I thought about it, I was like, well, you know, like I have priorities, right? Like I have, you know, I can take this, you know, $1,000 or whatever that I have and plan a trip, or I can save that money, right? Or I can use the money in a different way and still travel, but doing it in a more planned way, in a reasonable way, and not just to show people that I've gone this place or that place. It's even now to the point that when I do travel, I don't even really take pictures and post them on social media. It's more like about my experience. Yeah, it's more about like my experience and not something that has to be broadcasted to the world. But I also think with social media, some people can be very performative. And so, like, the need to consistently perform and maybe show a particular part of yourself in your life, I think that could get, you know, it can get really exhausting. So that's something that I used to feel FOMO about. Like now, I'm like, I kind of like being home now. You know, I still get the opportunity to go to different places, but I realize that that's not a top priority
Mhm.
in my life. And because I'm not doing it doesn't mean that I'm just like totally missing out on all these opportunities.
I like how you mentioned you have priorities. That's a good way to put it. Like, sure, I may be missing out on this, but some that's not the priority that's going to get me to my end goal or this goal that I set for the end of the summer. So what do you do with the photos that you take on vacation?
They're just in Google Photos, just up to the cloud, or I might send like a text message. Like I have a family text message group chat, so I'll like send like, "Hey, this is
Yeah.
where we went." So that is like a little bit more personal. I actually want to get all of my pictures on my phone printed,
Mhm.
from all the things that I've done. But yeah, currently they just get shared in the family in the family group chat. And of course, you know how they remind you on this day, this
Right,
happened.
that's like my favorite thing. Yeah. I honestly, when I went on vacation, I can't stop looking at the pictures. I'm like, oh, I just want to go back. And so now when I see people on vacation, I definitely feel the FOMO because I'm like, oh, I know they're just feeling so relaxed, like, and so calm and just experiencing new things. I know the joy of it. So FOMO in a positive way. Like,
Yeah.
are you seeing do you, based on social media, impacting how people seek validation and affirmation, do you see that is impacting people's mental health?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Definitely, I think the having depressive type of episodes or symptoms can be connected to the consumption on social media of like what people are consuming. So if someone may have a particular challenge in a particular area of their life and say, they get on social media, what they continue to consume can make them feel worse. So that's something that I definitely see, and also sometimes anxiety as well. So some of the things that we consumed maybe when the pandemic was at its height, or there were the uprisings around George Floyd, like all those things and all of the stuff, even if you think about what just happened with the Supreme Court, like all those different things circulating on social media. And I especially see this a lot on Facebook, not as much as Instagram, where people will share like their opinions and these long posts, and all these different things can definitely impact their mental health. And the validation piece, if you're putting one of my coaches, she said, where you're putting your value is what you can be attached to. So like if you are finding value in the likes, if you are finding value in the attention, in the affirmation from other people, that when that's not happening, then it can really shift how you feel about yourself, because you're attached to what that particular thing is that you're placing value on, and then that can in turn impact how you see yourself and how like you move in everyday life.
And so, what advice do you give people whose mental health is impacted by seeking validation from social media?
Ooh, one, I think reducing your time on social media for sure. And then I think maybe spreading out where you and how you feel validated and affirmed, and also realizing that something you spoke on earlier with rejection, like there are going to be people who are not going to like rock with you. There are going to be some people who don't fully see you, and that's okay. We don't have to have validation and affirmation from everybody. That's just not something that is realistic. But, if you change from social media being a place that you find affirmation and validation, or that you're consuming, to other things that also pour into you as well. So, for example, my grandmother giving me a compliment or encouraging me goes way farther than anybody else,
Mhm.
online. And so pouring into those types of relationships or people who support you and encourage you and that are there for you, opposed to these people online who you may not have a relationship with, you may not even know at all. But I definitely think reducing consumption of social media and kind of focusing on other areas of your life would make a big difference. And if you are going to seek validation and affirmation that's a little bit more spread out, even for yourself, like, I'm worth more than this Instagram picture or this like I'm worth more than that. Like this does not this does not this does not hold weight into who I am and like my value as a person and also my value in the world.
Wow. I like that advice. Speaking of finding yourself valuable and thinking of yourself as more than your picture and a like with it on social media, what are your thoughts about people who actually alter their physical appearance to feel more beautiful or, get as, if they see an Instagram model with the BBL, and they're getting this like and love and attention and they look at themselves in the mirror and like, I don't look like that and I want this same attention. Yeah, just what are your thoughts on people altering themselves actually when it comes to being accepted on social media?
Yeah, I think if we think about people altering their bodies and things, like, it's your body, you do with it what you please, but what is the source of why you're altering your body? Like, what is the core or the root reason of why I want to get this surgery? Or even if people who don't get surgeries, like people who may have waist trainers to like make their stomachs really, really, really small or different things like that, or even taking, doing all these crazy diets and different things like that to look a certain way. Like, why am I really doing this? Like, what about this is really going to bring about the change that I want to see in my life? I'm definitely really alarmed with the BBL trend, especially given that women are taking such risks to alter their bodies. And I think taking risks that are that high can really highlight like where you're at in terms of your self-worth and your self-esteem, because to put your life at risk just to alter your body for whatever reason that you have for doing that, I think is something to really sit down and think really hard about. And then also, when we think about trends, certain body shapes and things is for a time period. Like if we think 10 years ago, there may have been something else that was considered desirable or people should have, like beauty and like how bodies look and shaped and all those things, those change over time. So in my opinion, one of the best things to do is to truly embrace yourself and who you are in your own body, because that could change, what the trends are or what's considered desirable and acceptable could change at any time. The Jada, for you, like, what are your thoughts on people altering their bodies to, feel better about themselves?
I would have to say I agree with you with asking yourself, why do you want to do this? And if you do this, if you make this permanent change to your body, how will it impact you? If you feel like this will make you feel better about yourself or love yourself deeper, again, do what makes you happy. I will say that I went through a phase of body dysmorphia where like I didn't see what my body actually was. And I don't have the means to hit up a doctor and be like, please fix this about myself. Honestly, it took a lot of looking in the mirror. It took a lot of journaling. It took therapy. It takes just being comfortable with myself and understanding that this body, I think the main thing was like, this body keeps me alive. This body, it it provides so much for me. So why can't I love it the way that it is? And also taking compliments from my partner, him telling me that I'm beautiful. And instead of being like, are you sure? Like, and it'll be me waking up. And so of course I think he's crazy. But it also took compliments from other Black women and just being accepting of it. I think one thing that women in general often do is like not being like not accepting compliments because we second guess it, but it's like, no, you are actually beautiful the way that you are. And so it does, because I know we're talking about, feeling validated via social media, but it's that in-person connection with people. Like, it was one time I was getting out the car at the airport and some Black girl was dropping somebody off and was just like, I just want to let you know you look so beautiful today. And that kept, like, it was just a random Black, like, that compliment just meant so much to me. And I was just like doing something so random. And so you just have to fall in love with yourself and, affirm yourself every day, even if that's getting out the shower, looking in the mirror and telling yourself that you're beautiful 10 times. And also just saying thank you to your body for, keeping you up, keeping you alive, keeping you moving. Yeah, that's my piece about it. And just remember your body is your body and you can do what you like with it. Yeah, that's my take on it.
So now we'll segue to our on the couch question. And this is from Brittany. And she asks, what are some tools that I can use to reduce my consumption on social media?
Ooh, that's a good one. Brittany, you can take a walk. Honestly, just like putting your phone down and going outside, reading a book, talking to your friends. You can also, one thing that I like to do every once in a while is delete the app because sometimes I just pick my phone up and now I'm on social media. I picked my phone up to respond to a text message and now somehow I'm on Instagram for 15 minutes. Just because you just like automatically go to it. Delete the apps. It's also to a point on your phone where you can set a timer for when you use certain apps. So if you want to give yourself 30 minutes a day, it'll kick you out the app at that 30-minute limit. But also like figure out in season 3, we talk about finding things and getting into your interests. Find something else to use your time with. So that could be knitting, that could be making waist beads. It can literally be anything that you have interest in. Yeah, try those things and see how that go, Brittany. Thanks for your question.
So now we're going to conclude our episode on social media and self-worth with some quick tips. So my quick tip that I would love for everybody to take away is that social media is just one part of your life. And that one part of your life does not determine your value and your worth.
That's a good quick tip. My quick tip would be to log off of social media. Honestly, log off of social media and spend time with yourself. And also create a list of affirmations that you can say every morning to affirm yourself in the way that you like.
All right. Well, thank you all for tuning in to another episode of the Quick Tip Podcast. We will have more episodes focused on self-care and self-worth. Take care of all of you and be well.
Thank you for tuning in to the Quick Tip Podcast with Sista Afya. Stay connected with us by following us on Instagram and Facebook at Sista Afya. Join us for one of our upcoming groups, classes, or workshops, and sign up for therapy if you're an Illinois resident at www.sistaafya.com/services. And if you enjoyed this episode, do us a favor and leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. We greatly appreciate you for being a part of our community, and we look forward to connecting with you soon. Take care.